the wind whistling through the trees. You know why?
Shocktober?
It's the spookiest month of the year.
Damn. And he's just the best damn whistler this side of the Mississippi, folks. Let's just put it out there.
Welcome, Boo, the franchise. That's right. Helcome, Boo, the franchise.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm your ghost, Daniel Ehrenberg.
Wow. There's no possible way I can compete with those puns. It is episode 174.
Mm-hmm. And there's Henry. He's over in Boo Hersey.
And you're over there, Dan, in Bookland.
Whoa. That sounded like a slur. I didn't care for it. All right, welcome to October Halloween coverage. We're talking about horror movies all month long here on the franchise. And we're going to start with the great Exorcist franchise, which features the classic William Friedkin film we're covering today, the classic John Boorman sequel that we're covering today, and next week we'll be talking about the third one and the prequels. You might... what's going on over there? Someone shoveling snow?
I believe that was just a semi-truck going by.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh, spooky. Maybe it's the truck from Duel.
I think it's a Maximum Overdrive truck.
Oh!
The Goblin.
Yeah, the Green Goblin out there on the front.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'd pay anything for that. I would prefer driving around in that than, like, if someone offered me that or the Batmobile, I think I would choose the Green Goblin truck from Maximum Overdrive.
Well, I think I agree because also the Batmobile, people have ridden around in that replica and shit. Now, who the hell can say I drove around in the fucking Goblin Mobile?
Yeah, I remember they had that Batmobile for one episode of the Drew Carey Show once. All right, that's not special. Then I'm just driving around in the same car that Diedrich Bader once had.
And we've seen it on, Comic Book Men, too. They brought it around for that.
Yeah,
Everybody gets in. Yeah. Everybody gets in that thing.
AMC TV, baby. Ride with Norman Reedus. All right. Henry, let's talk about The Exorcist. I'm pretty excited about it. William Friedkin, the director this week that we're focusing on. So I figured let's start with our list, our ranking of William Friedkin's movies. This is a fellow who's been working nonstop since the 60s at this point. He directed an Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode, I believe, early on in his career. A real workhorse, but he's made some real great films. I always think his movies are worth seeing, even when they're trash.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. For me, he hasn't made anything I've liked in about 8 years and nothing I've loved in about 30.
Yeah, but he's in his 80s. That's
right.
All right.
No, right. I get he's not he's not one of my favorite filmmakers, but he is definitely
Me
great.
neither, but I'm looking at the list here and I'm seeing at least 1 5 and at least 4 4s.
Oh, see, I have more than 1 5 in here. Yeah.
Okay, I might. Let's do the ranking. I've seen 10 William Friedkin movies. How many have you seen?
Oh, this won't be bad then. I've seen 9.
Oh, I thought you maybe have seen more because I think he's actually made close to 20 movies.
Yeah, there's a couple here that I figure you might not have seen, and I knew there'd be something that I haven't seen of yours. So
yeah, definitely at least one that I know of.
At least one because you have 10. And because I have 9.
Oh, that's a great point, Henry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just if our audience wasn't listening, I want to make sure that the math was on point.
You mean the mask?
All right.
Because on Halloween, kids, they wear masks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was a treat, not a trick.
Nice. All right, number 10 on my list. My least favorite William Friedkin movie. It's one of these maybe early 2000s, boring. There are a lot of movies back then in like the late 90s, early 2000s that were advertised as thrillers, and then you go see them and you're like, this is not thrilling.
I think I know what you're going to say.
All right, and this is Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson in Rules of Engagement.
Oh, not what I thought you were going to say.
What'd you think I was going to say?
There's something else.
Oh, okay. With both Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel L. Jackson?
No, the first person, Tommy Lee Jones, TLJ. Yeah, I didn't see Rules of Engagement. That was a hard pass for me when that came out. I remember that.
Also, it sounds like it should be a Katherine Heigl movie, right? Like the follow-up to 27 Dresses. The Rules of Engagement.
Right. And like maybe like an early Bradley Cooper vehicle.
No, he'd be the villain, I think, right? Like he'd be the guy you don't want her to end up with.
Right. And maybe
Mark Ruffalo is the guy she's
like a pre-discovering himself Tom Hardy type of role. Like
from This Means War?
Yes, that's exactly what you called my bloof. Yes. All right.
You want to pipe in with number 9?
I do. It's not a good movie. Memory is going to have me give it a 2. It's got one good thing going for it. Actually, it's got 2 things going for it. One, it has Linda Fiorentino. 2, we get to hear.
That's 2 things right there.
Nice. 2, we get to hear David Caruso impression by Daniel Ehrenberg.
Oh my God! Wait, I do a David Caruso impression?
You've done it before.
Oh my God! I watched the. You're referring to Jade, I assume.
It is. Number 9 is Jade. That's the worst thing I've seen, and it's really a completely passable nothing.
I love
movie.
that movie. It is bad. It is bad. And it has weird Asian themes for no reason.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times in that movie, you're like cutting to a scene, and in the background, you hear like a tambuka. What are those? You know what I'm talking about? You know those Asian instruments that go like bang, 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 bang.
Oh my God!
You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Your Far Eastern knowledge again eclipses anything else I could ever think of. Fucking genius. There's like a lot of pseudo-Asian things going on there. A lot of pan-Asian things going on in that movie.
Yeah, but it's also sexy. And I like movies from the 90s where people are just constantly hanging out in gigantic penthouses with huge ceilings.
Basic Instinct.
Devil's Advocate.
Yes. And it's almost their borderline soft porn.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely on Cinemax at 11:20 p.m.
Absolutely. Looking at my Friedkin list, man, honestly, I got to say, this doesn't happen much. It's not really a piece of shit on here.
No, I mean, there's no ones. All right, number Slime for me. Get it? Number 9. Number slime is the thing that's in scary stuff.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Number Slime is Blue Chips, his classic college basketball movie starring Penny Hardaway and Nick Nolte.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Now, do I recall correctly that once and future guest Alex Kidwell had that on his top 10 list for whatever year we did?
It's really familiar to me. Yeah, sure. I think you're right. Yeah. Blue Chips.
Yeah. Blue Crips, right? That's scary. Gang warfare. That's scary.
You can't stop yourself, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to stop you because for number Fate.
Oh, I like it. I like it because in horror movies, many people meet their fates by dying.
In case anyone missed what I meant, it's number 8, and that is not a very good movie, but Friedkin often tries things that are out of the box, and it ain't that good, but I don't think you've seen this movie, and that is Al Pacino in Cruising.
I have seen that movie, and it's much higher on my list.
Okay, yeah, I didn't get me that much, but I remember seeing it. I thought it was a good movie. It's got Friedkin stuff all over that.
Oh yeah, that's a Friedkin right there. My number Fate is a movie, another thriller from the early 2000s. It's almost like a shot-for-shot remake of First Blood. But it's really close to First Blood. But it's
Okay.
TLJ's back. Benicio del Toro. This is probably what you were thinking of earlier.
Yes.
The Hunted.
Yes.
Memorable only for its many hand-to-hand knife fights.
Yes. That is also my number, Heaven.
Well, because sometimes good people are murdered and they end up in heaven.
That's right. Yeah, Hunted is my number 7. I will confess that I remember I saw this in the theater, and I believe it was 2003, I think, this movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right, I think.
And I saw it solely based at that time, for whatever reason, on the fact that I read about it was William Friedkin. So I remember being interested. I was like, okay, the concept did not interest me at all, but it was William Friedkin, so I figured I'll go see this. And I remember being quite entertained.
It was all right.
Yeah,
It was one of I would
movie.
never have watched it. I was working at Blockbuster, 5 free rentals a week. One of them might as well be The Hunted.
Absolutely, why not?
Yeah. All right, my
right.
lucky number 11 is Jade.
Oh, all right, okay. My number 666.
Oh, that's the number of the devil, who's a character that we are going to talk about a little bit today.
Pazuzu. Yeah,
Yeah, one of his many henchmen, Pazuzu.
Pazuzu's pedals.
Yeah, he took over Kokomo.
This was a movie that got a lot of hype when it came out. I thought it was cool, but I was not on the crazy train about how great it was. But it's good. We get to see our crazy friend Michael Shannon, and that is Bug.
That's my number 6. I felt exactly the same way about that movie. It's doing some interesting stuff. It's a little bit of a bottle episode, which I like.
Yes.
Ashley Judd is surprisingly strong in it. I mean, she's always pretty good, but like she's really trying in this one.
I agree.
And enjoyable. Check it out.
Okay. Similar opinions on these so far. Should we play the theme here? Sure.
Heavy slashers. These are the machetes, the bows and arrows, the butcher knives going into your veins, Freddy's fingers slitting your throat. Heavy hitters.
All right. For those of you who'd like to hear that theme unadulterated, you can always check one of our other episodes. No, I like the edition. It was
Unadulterated. That's when you take out a kid's parent. You unadulterate them.
That was a good. It was like cacophonous melodies coming together. Dan's voice and Anthony Hopkins. All right, number 5. This was indeed the last Friedkin movie I saw, and it was quite sick, but it was very fucking entertaining on a visceral, gross you out level, and that is Killer Joe.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the reconnaissance there. I skipped it because I didn't know we were back in on him yet. Okay? I didn't know. Yeah. But maybe I'll see it eventually.
I saw it on DVD like a year after it came out. So that hadn't started yet either.
I saw the prequel Joe about from before he killed people.
Right. Yes, I did too.
Yes.
That's a much better movie.
My number 5 is his excellent remake of one of my favorite films, The Wages of Fear. And I was going to say like The Wrath of Khan or something.
The Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah. And it's called Sorcerer, a movie that I did not see for years because of the title Sorcerer. I was like, it must be a fantasy movie. I don't like those, so I won't see this. Then I found out it's a remake of The Wages of Fear. I was like, I'm fucking in. Checked it out. It's great.
It's my number 4.
Great.
I love Sorcerer. It is a great movie. I had seen The Wages of Fear. I was lucky enough when I was in college, they showed a screening of it at the museum, so I got the full. That's Clouseau, right? Wages of Fear.
Clouseau,
Henri Georges Clouseau.
I gotta tell you, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. Same guy as Diabolique. Anyway.
Listen to this motherfucker try to one-up me.
No. I just, yeah.
I called it a German film. Is it not? Is it a French film?
Oh, it is a French film.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. It's Henri Georges Clouzot. You were right on.
Well, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. And Sorcerer, I didn't see till many years later, but I really liked it. I agree with you about the title. It's still a stupid title, but Roy Scheider is kicking all kinds of ass in that movie. He's fucking great as usual. When isn't he? So that's my number 4.
Roy Dider.
Right. True.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
My number. Oh, that's spooky. He's dead.
I tried.
Yeah. My number 4. We'll talk about Dana Plato today, which is the spookiest story there is.
There's quite a few spooky stories. I think I might even blow your mind on something I read.
Oh, I'm excited about that. My number 4 is Cruising. I fucking love that movie. I know it's like some people are up and down on Cruising, which I sort of get, but I've always been into that movie. It's great. One of the last great Al Pacino movies.
Oh, come on. All right. That's pretty hard.
I'm excited about these Irishman reviews coming out, though.
Oh, I am trying to abstain from reading much about it.
I just wanted to see if they were positive or neg.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I don't even want to see that, but yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited. What is it, November, right?
Yep. Be awesome. On Netflix. I'll probably watch it at work. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3, a movie I would like to revisit, but I won't until we cover it. I've always liked the movie, but I always felt like I wanted to give it one more good go, and that is a great movie, another Roy Scheider vehicle, and that is The French Connection.
What a great film The French Connection is. I've never heard anyone refer to it as a Roy Scheider vehicle before, but to each their own.
Well, hey.
Yeah. My number 3 is his great mid-'80s masterpiece, To Live and Die in L.A.
So our rankings are essentially the same because you have 10 and I have 9. I'm just following you on everything. That is my number 2.
And my number 2 is The French Connection.
Wow. Yeah, very similar rankings on here. I think it's pretty. I guess we agree on the clarity of what is his great achievements. What are his great achievements? To Live and Die on anyone, if you haven't heard of it, which I know some people haven't, it's a great fucking movie with William Peterson.
Yeah, it's a William Peterson bootlegging movie. What do you call that when you make money? You create your own money.
Oh, counterfeit.
Counterfeiting, that's the word.
Bootlegging.
Yeah.
There's no 1920s liquor sales going on.
No. He's investigating Willem Dafoe, a counterfeiter, and it's a great movie. And I guess we both agree that the movie we're about to cover is his best. So let's talk about it, bro. He was not the original name on the list that the studio wanted. It was originally offered to Mike Nichols, who turned it down. I love the idea of a studio in the 70s watching fucking Carnal Knowledge and saying, like, that guy, let's do it.
Yeah, they don't ever take into consideration the content. It's always just, who's hot? Who's hot right now? Oh, my God.
Hey, you know who we should get to direct this devil movie? The guy who the one with the Art Garfunkel's pubic hair. Let's show it to that guy.
Yeah, let's go. This movie's about a demon. Let's get Hal Ashby. Okay, he'd be great.
It was not offered to Hal Ashby, as far as I know.
But that's the thought process.
Yeah, it was offered to Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
And also to Arthur Penn, the director of Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
And they asked writer William Peter Blatty, the novelist, who he wanted, and he said he liked The French Connection, so he asked for William Friedkin. And William Friedkin was into it, and he and Blatty are pretty simpatico. They're both like sort of heady, thoughtful dudes who want to make a movie about a fucking kid jerking off. This movie finally came out December 26th, 1973, just in time for the holidays.
That is a hell of a release day. Yeah, real good stuff.
Yeah.
lot of hoopla apparently surrounding this before it came out. I was reading all kinds. This was one of those movies, dude, that just led me into a million
Yeah.
different types of articles. Just so much interesting stuff.
Well, it was smart. They made the movie for the studio. It was a popular novel, and it was a $12 million budget, very high for the time. So when they brought it to the MPAA did not want to burn any bridges, and so they weren't going to give this movie a fucking X or whatever. They heeded to the studio's wishes, and they kissed the ring and gave it an R. And they released it around the holiday season, which they knew would get controversy, which it did, which made people want to see it more. Joker. And and they also released it with a couple days left before Oscar voting started, and so the buzz was there. Honestly, December 26th, if A Quiet Place came out December 26th, that might have been nominated for some more Oscars.
That's true. I mean, December, obviously, as we know now, is an excellent time to release your Oscar type of movie.
It sure is, Henry. Now, what a hit this was. It made $441.3 million at the box office. That, of course, includes all re-releases. So
yeah,
but
true.
Still impressive. It came in at number 2 for the year 1973, losing to The Sting. And it made a little bit more than American Graffiti, which was number 3. More casting news, Henry. Stacy Keach was originally cast in the role as Father Karras. The studio wanted Marlon Brando. Friedkin said no because then it's a Brando movie, which he's right. Nicholson was offered the role. He turned it down. And finally, after all that waiting, Stacy Keach bowed out, and they cast whoever ended up in the movie. Who's that guy?
Jason Miller.
Jason Miller, of course.
Who is Jason Patrick's father.
Is that true?
Yes. Isn't that weird?
Now I want to rewatch it and look for that gravel.
Yeah, he's a
That
playwright.
means he's also the father of the lead singer from the band Filter.
Is that right?
Yeah, because that dude is Robert Patrick's brother.
Wow.
Hey man, nice shot. That guy.
Although, no, I know what you mean, but I will say I think Jason Miller was married like 4 times.
Jason Killer.
That's right.
Thanks.
He was married 3 times. He does have Jason Patrick and Joshua John Miller as sons. Do you know what Joshua John
Miller is that little redhead kid. He was in I want to say Near Dark.
Well,
right?
Here it says he wrote the screenplay for The Final Girls, the 2015
But I think before that he was an actor.
Oh, all right.
Joshua John Miller. Now you're making me look stuff up on air.
He was in Halloween.
Here he is. He's the kid from Near Dark, for fuck's sake. He's also the kid from River's Edge. Anyway, what a family that is.
Big family.
Yeah. Okay, Ellen Burstyn's in this movie, a woman Henry almost had sex with.
It's funny you said that. I can finally say, after all these years, how I continuously, literally from birth, have confused, and still do, confused the 3 actresses, Ellen Burstyn, Louise Fletcher, and Jenna Rollins.
Oh, that's weird.
You name a movie, and you point it out, and I go, oh, that's Louise Fletcher, and then you go, no, that's fucking Jenna Rollins.
I mean, did John Cassavetes direct this? Then it's Jenna Rollins.
They have a similar physical appearance. That's all it is. That's all it is for me. I cannot explain.
Henry only takes a gander at looks when he's
that's right.
When he's glancing at a woman.
I think that's been clear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always get him confused. And then, lo and behold, what do I got to deal with now? Ellen Burstyn in one, Louise Fletcher in the second one.
That is true. I'm excited to talk about it. So speaking of that Burstyn role, she took it after it was turned down by Audrey Hepburn, Anne Bancroft, and Jane Fonda. All right?
I if we can do the speculative stuff here. Of those names you mentioned, I mean, I don't think any of the men mentioned would have really worked. I feel like Ellen Burstyn is phenomenal in this movie, but I feel
Bancroft could have done it.
that was going to be who I was going to say.
Yeah.
I feel like Anne Bancroft could have pulled that off.
If you cast Hepburn, it's just a Hepburn movie. It'd
Yeah,
be interesting to see what Jane Fonda would do, but I don't know.
He got offered this and called it some piece of shit I was offered. I read that.
All right, Barbarella.
Exactly.
All right. How about some of this movie's honors?
Oh, surely.
It is. I thank you not to call me Shirley, but this film is in the National Film Registry. It is, of course, on a couple of lists.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah, from a little group of critics and film workers called.
And what would that list be?
The American Film Institute.
Oh,
Heavy hitters.
What the fuck?
I gotta fire my producer.
That was horrible.
AFI.
Wow.
AF
Boy.
die.
I know these guys behind me. They just do not handle the cues right. Let's hear it again. Let's go. Let's hear it again.
AFI.
Okay, AFI proclaimed The Exorcist to be the number 3 most thrilling movie ever made.
It is thrilling. It is a thrilling experience. That would be the number 3 adjective I'd use for it.
Yeah. And it's on another list. It is the it has the number 9 best villain of all time. Now, interestingly, when you look at the AFI list, the villain is listed as Reagan, the name of the young girl, not
Sure.
Pazuzu, the name of the demon, which is a little bit like saying one of the best villains is the girl who got raped, not the rapist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. One of the greatest villains of all time isn't Darth Vader. It's Anakin Skywalker.
The real epidemic in Philadelphia is Tom Hanks, not HIV.
This is like putting Jaws on there, though. Like a fucking animal. One of the villains. What are we doing?
I know. It's just we get it, AFI. You like The Exorcist.
Jesus Christ. Satan. It's even better like they would just put Satan. That's why they put Reagan, because they couldn't put Satan. They were too, I don't know if we can do that, putting Satan. Yeah.
Speaking of the girl being named Reagan.
Yeah, I disagree with her policies.
I hear she likes jelly beans. Listen, they
Food is
can't.
economic.
This is one of those fucking movies like Basic Instinct, Nick Coran, where no one can decide on what this girl's name is. I heard Reagan. I heard Regan. There's Regan.
I went into this movie, and let's just say my whole life, I thought it was fucking Regan, man. It's been a few years since I saw it. I thought it was Regan, but I heard Reagan more than I ever did any other.
People definitely say Regan, though. But I do think you hear Reagan more than Regan.
You do?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a German character. There's a British character. Maybe they say it differently. Maybe Sharon Stone makes an appearance and calls her Regan. I'm not sure, like you said. But, yeah, it's odd. I'm more comfortable calling her Regan.
Yeah, I want to call her Regan, too. Like, if I see that name on paper, I read it to myself, Regan.
Yeah.
I've met girls named Regan.
Not Reagan, right?
No. Certainly not, post 80s.
Right.
All right. So, I mean, maybe at like one of those like youth Republican conventions.
Well, when I
I went to one of those ones.
a youth Republican convention?
I got invited by a a cute girl on an elevator in a hotel. She was a Republican. She
Right.
invited me. It was
Did you go?
it was during the Republican convention in 2004.
Oh my goodness, Bush Kerry.
Yeah. So I
Where
hung.
was that held? Where'd they hold it? New York?
Yeah, it was in a hotel. Oh, you mean the convention was in New York? Yes, I remember it because it was the week that I started college. So I had a richer friend than I am, whose mom was like, we're worried about him like getting to school on time. It's his first week of college. He was going to Fordham. We'll get him a hotel room, but we're worried that he's going to be there by himself. We're concerned, so we'll get him Dan. So like I'm going to stop him from like getting into mischief or whatever. We ended up going to a fucking Republican youth convention and buying porno at a newsstand before going back into the room and watching Grease together.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. The only movie you could name that would probably make me prefer to go to the Republican convention. And while you were doing
The girl was
that,
hot. We made out on the elevator.
well, that's fun. There
Thanks,
you go.
It's like a fetish to hook up with a Republican, right?
Absolutely.
It's like hooking up with a paraplegic or a squirter.
Yes, I have done so. It's a strange experience when that person voted for Bob Dole, and you voted for the Democrat or whoever. And I actually, while you were doing that in 2004 at that convention, I was at the Democratic convention.
Oh, for Kerry.
Yeah, in Boston. Isn't that weird? And I had just graduated college. Yeah.
Very weird. Very weird.
I never knew you were at that around that convention. That's pretty weird. That is cool.
I was
Yeah,
in its
all right.
orbit, Henry. The Exorcist was nominated for some Golden Globes.
Oh, yeah. I figured that was the case. So guess what? It's ready.
It's the GGs, the Golden Globes. It's the Hollywood Foreign Press, mostly French.
Boom! This won a bunch. The Exorcist was sort of the champ of the Golden Globes this year. The Oscars did not feel the same way. At the Golden Globes, The Exorcist won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress. Right? Linda Blair? Did she win? Or was it Burston? I didn't write it down.
Oh, I think that Blair got a GG.
She got it, the GG. And then that had like calmed down by the time the Oscars came out. 'Cause, yeah, she won the GG. People complained. Do you remember that?
No, I wasn't alive.
Oh, right. Me neither. But I read that there was a backlash to Linda Blair's Oscar nomination because people found out that she didn't do the voice of the demon.
For fuck's sake.
And I'm like, wait a second. Did you not know that? People in the 70s were stupid.
They really were.
Are you kidding? Our parents' generation, Henry, they didn't know anything. They were fucking dumb.
Oh my God. That's such bullshit. I mean, this girl goes through more fucking torture we'll get to it, but my God. I didn't use her voice.
Yeah.
Pull it away.
I hear it wasn't even her when she was saying cunt as an adjective.
C'est une magnifique performance, but je suis Linda Blair, not to use her own voce, sotto voce. That's the guy that doesn't quite speak French or Italian, but just tries both.
I like that guy. That's your new character. I like it.
Yeah, his new character I'm working on.
What's his name?
Pierre.
Pierre Vafanopoulos?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's right.
So yeah, one picture, director, supporting actress, and screenplay. Ellen Burstyn was amazingly nominated for Best Actress, but I'm sorry, Henry, she lost to Jenna Rollins, which would have confused you, for A Woman Under the Influence.
Oh, I've seen that movie, and Ellen Burstyn was robbed.
I'll go with Rollins. Then there is Max von Sydow, nominated for supporting actor, but he lost to John Houseman for The Paper Chase.
Oh my God.
All right.
Holy Christ! Who lost to Art Carney this year?
By the way, I've been looking at old Emmys. I after the Emmys aired, I was curious about old Emmys. Art Carney won so many Emmys.
Really?
So many.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Linda Blair. She was nominated for an award they had back then, Best New Star.
Good for her.
Okay, but she lost to Tatum O'Neal for what was that movie called? Paper Moon. Paper Moon, Paper Chase. They loved paper in 1973. They were all analog.
Yeah, they were all analog. Paper Tiger. Yeah, Paper Shredder. Yeah.
Paper mache.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta tell you, it was also a major factor in the Oscars.
Well, I was ready for that, so here we go, and listen up, everybody. In just 1 second. It's right here. I'm waiting for it to get going here.
All right, I'm just going to start. I don't give a shit.
Go.
Okay. It won a couple of Oscars. All right, turn that off.
Usually you like to read
I
through,
know,
so.
but you've got some microphone issues on your end. That one didn't work as well.
Okay.
It was nominated. It won 2 Oscars. The Exorcist, Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Sound Mixing. It was nominated for Best Picture, but it lost to The Sting. It was. No, this is a terrible choice. Nominated for Best Director, and it lost to George Roy Hill of The Sting.
That's why I winced. I winced when you said that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to decide which was correct.
No.
Okay, Ellen Burstyn was nominated for Best Actress, but she lost to a British actress named Glenda Jackson for a film called A Touch of Class.
Yeah. Who doesn't remember that movie? That's talked about all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Jason Miller was nominated for Supporting Actor, but he lost to John Houseman from The Paper Chase. Linda Blair was nominated for Supporting Actress, and she lost to Tatum O'Neal for Paper Moon. What, again? What is this generation doing just nominating kids? This isn't the fucking Teen Choice Awards.
Yeah, it's a little odd. I mean, I suppose those are precocious choices, but I don't know. That's odd.
Yeah. It lost Best Art Direction and Best Editing to The Sting, and it lost Best Cinematography to the great Sven Nykvist for his work on Bergman's Cries and Whispers. And 10 nominations altogether for The Exorcist. Pretty good showing for a horror film, especially back then.
Yeah, I mean, no joke, man. I'm impressed. I was impressed when I saw that. I mean, that's especially not just like a fucking horror movie, but I mean something as repugnant in content in certain scenes as this movie is.
Also, like the MPAA, when they announced they were going to give this movie an R instead of an X, in their statement, they specifically said they want to give this movie an R. They think people should see it because it's an important movie. And, like, I love this movie, but it is not an important movie. It's just a horror movie.
Okay, so that's an interesting point, and it has obviously become an important movie because of its influence. But
this was done back in, like, the fall of 73.
Right. Well, right, it's an odd statement to make back then. But what I would say, and what I actually thought you were going to say, this movie should have been rated X.
Why, you think they like edited it? Or are you just like retroactively worried about the children of 1973?
No, I'm thinking about like Clockwork Orange and movies that they kind of did that to, and I'm thinking like what it takes to get an X. And this is from somebody, I don't consider an X rating to be a negative thing. I know the studios do.
It is a negative in terms of box office performance,
right,
because there are certain theater chains that won't carry X-rated movies.
Correct. But
one of them being Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. But in watching it this time, it was interesting to me. To me, this movie should have been rated X. But
I don't have an opinion on that subject whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Don't care.
That's good. I'm glad you've given a lot of time and thought to one of the most discussed MPAA ratings of all time.
The MPAA is garbage. Like, I don't care. Yeah,
I agree,
I
but
mean, like, looking at it
that's
objectively, sure, it should probably be an X, but, like, I don't care.
All right. I'm writing a paper on it, so I do care.
I feel like the MPAA is going to be outlawed in a while. I feel like we're on the now as movies stream more and more. I think we're caring less about that.
Well,
I was watching
possible.
fucking Mr. Robot on USA last night. They used the word cunt.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Things are getting more permissive, that's for sure. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, let's do our personal top 10s of 1973, and we have a guest with their top 10 of 1973. That's right, the Blockbuster book, baby. I've got it right here.
Blockbuster Video! Wow, what a difference!
Okay.
That was like a mouse squeal of an ending there. It was pretty good.
I have here the 11 movies from 1973 that the Blockbuster book deemed worthy of being in this book. And I have some honorable mentions from my own 1973 list. Do you mind?
Not at all.
Okay. Here they are. Just missed the list. Amarcord by Fellini. American Graffiti, Truffaut's Day for Night, Clint Eastwood's High Plains Drifter, Woody Allen's Sleeper, and if you're looking for a good, fun old horror movie to watch in this October month, how about You Can't Do Wrong with Vincent Price's Theater of Blood? Okay, let's talk about the top 10. Oh, I'll give Blockbuster's honorable mention, a movie called The Way We Were, Henry. And their entry starts just with one word. Memories.
From the corner of their mind?
Streisand and Redford unite for one of the most dynamic romances in screen history. Pollock's entrancing movie takes us to the past and back again to reveal the character's beginnings and whatever. Anyway, fun stuff. My number 10 is Fred Zinnemann's The Day of the Jackal.
Oh, yes. A movie unseen by me.
Have you seen the Bruce Willis remake?
No, I didn't see that either. I would like to see the original, though. And I would like to comment on your honorable mentions. The first two you had were Armacord and what was the other A one?
American Graffiti.
I hate both those movies. But all your other choices are great. All
right. What's your number 10?
My number 10, Serpico,
a great movie. Blockbuster's number 10 is the aforementioned A Touch of Class. This bubbly comedy intermittently tugs at the heartstrings with its romantic storyline. The screen chemistry between the leads is magical.
It's on my queue.
All right, enjoy it. Now, that brings us to number 9. My number 9 is the late Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now.
I hate that movie, too.
Oh, okay. Great stuff, Henry.
I saw that in the theater with a cinephile friend of mine who told me it's a masterpiece.
It is.
And, I was the only one who was not enthralled. I just detested it.
I think that says more about you than the film. Okay, number...
It might.
Number 9 for you?
Yeah, not into pretentious shit. All right, number 9, I am into anything where Charlton Heston is screaming at the end, and that is Soylent Green.
I do love Soylent Green. Charlton Heston it gives a poor performance in that film, but what a great performance. Who's the dude who dies, and he was dying in real life?
Edward G. Robinson.
So great. That sequence is unbelievable.
Really is. Yeah, I agree.
Great. That movie, and what's the other Heston movie from that era? The Omega Man. I like an early 70s Heston sci-fi joint.
Absolutely, man. You're in Planet of the Apes territory there, although that's 68, but yes. Yeah.
All right. Blockbuster's number 9 is The Sting.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Scott Joplin's ragtime music is a delightful reminder of an era gone by. I'll tell you that much.
It's a delightful reminder for white people.
Yeah. My number 8 is Brian De Palma's Sisters.
Ah, yes. All right. My number 8 is still one of my favorite Eastwood films of all time, and that is High Plains Drifter.
Okay. Blockbuster's number 8 is Sleeper. It's a grab bag of sight gags and energy. All right?
Who are the authors of the Blockbuster blurbs?
The Blockbuster Corporation.
There's no specific. They don't give like.
I do not see a writing credit in this book.
It's gotta say
Shallot.
Shallot.
Yeah.
G. Shallot. It's gotta say J. Who's the other guy with the mustache? They both had mustaches.
Joel Siegel.
Siegel. Saw him once in the store.
Me too. Famously walked out on Clerks 2 during a review screening.
Sweet.
Yeah, okay.
Gotta be an L. Moulton on that book. All right, anyway. Okay.
7 for me is Robert Altman's great The Long Goodbye with Elliot Gould.
All right. Never saw it. Number 7 for me is one of my faves of Woody, and that is Sleeper.
Great. Number 7 for the Blockbuster book is Save the Tiger, which I'd never heard of. It appears to be a pre-Rocky John G. Avildsen film with Jack Lemmon. All right. And, it's Lemmon turns in an altogether moving portrayal as a middle-aged clothing manufacturer whose rough adult life in the business world can't measure up to the joys of his youth. Sounds like a middle-aged white ennui film. Okay.
Lot of ennui. Yes.
Yeah, my number 6 is Serpico.
All right. My number 6 is a great movie that I would actually really love to see this again. I would like to own this. This movie blew me away when I was a teenager, and I've loved it throughout the years. And that is the great movie with Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman, Papillon.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Number 6 for Blockbuster is Paper Moon. And that's a pretty boring movie. I'll tell you what, the black and white photography adds to the quaint 1930s charm of it all.
Oh, I'm sure it does. You probably got that right.
Tatum O'Neal, the youngest to ever win an Oscar at age 10 for her movie debut. And what a career she had. Okay. My number 5 heavy hitters is The Wicker Man.
Ah, yes. Another one unseen by me.
It's October. See The Wicker Man.
No, I know. Well, there's many movies that come across, I should state, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't see because I know that eventually we're going to cover them.
But we're not going to cover that one. There's a remake, but not a sequel.
Remake.
No sequel whatsoever.
Good point. Fair enough. I'm always thinking of The Thing, and then I always forget that's actually a prequel, so that
I do that too.
Yeah. Because we will be covering The Thing, ladies and gents.
I almost watched Next Friday earlier this week, but I was like, you know what? We'll cover Friday.
No? All right. My number 5, I've probably watched this movie 300 times when I was in college.
300?
It was a great movie to get drunk to. That is The Last Detail.
Unseen by me, Henry.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I should see that. Number 5 for Blockbusters, The Paper Chase. All parts fit like a glove, making this an entertaining movie.
Can you imagine walking around with that book in the store and like looking at that list and being like, honey, I see the Paper Chase here, and what does it say about it?
Well, but the weird thing about that is that like that's why you walk around with one of those like Leonard Maltin books or like the Video Hound guide. You're like, hey, honey, what do they say about Meet the Deedles? It got 0 bones. Got the doghouse rating or whatever. It got a bomb.
Yeah, they're not looking for the words in the review. They just want the image of the star or the pumpkin or whatever they're going to use. That's all they need.
All right, number 4 for me is The Exorcist.
Number 4 for me is Mean Streets.
That is also Blockbuster's number 4, Henry. You're right on target. Mean Streets. This hard-hitting drama was the masterpiece that introduced Martin Scorsese to the ranks of great directors. All right?
Okay.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is Terrence Malick's Badlands. He just blew smoke into the mic and then coughed. Really? Yeah.
Oh, that was for me.
Great stuff.
It's Vapor from Satan. My number 3 jumped up a few places from its last placement. So it is now number 3, moving from 6, and that is The Exorcist.
Okay. Blockbuster's number 3 was Last Tango in Paris. This highly controversial movie features some of Marlon Brando's best acting to date. Bernardo Bertolucci's camera finesse shows why he's considered one of the best directors in cinema.
That is a phenomenal movie. I love that movie, and I will always associate it with the year it actually came out, which was 1972. So,
well, Blockbuster has Amarcord on their 1974 list, so fact-checking, not a strong suit.
Yes, because that's the whole point. I remember when Last Tango in Paris, and you look, it's the same year as The Godfather, and it's just weird to think of Brando being in those two diametrically opposed films in the same year. But yeah,
Check
okay.
Out my range. Number 2 is number 2 for me is Mean Streets.
Okay. Number 2 for me is a movie I believe the great Aaron Farinelli and I have pressured you to see, and I don't think you're resistant, but I just don't think you've gotten around to it, and that is a movie with an also awesome soundtrack, and that is Oh, Lucky Man.
Right, yeah, I haven't seen that one. Malcolm McDowell looks cool, but yeah, I haven't seen it. Number 2 for the Blockbuster book is The Exorcist, the ultimate horror film. Huh? Director William Friedkin's trademark cold, clinical tone and graphic effects set the standards for horror films since.
That's more astute than their other writings on Paper Tigers, Moons, and what have you.
All right. What's your number 1 movie of 1973?
The best movie of 1973 was my introduction to this director, and I got to see it also in a theater re-release, and that is the great masterpiece Badlands.
And my number 1 of 1973 is the long cut of, I have to specify that, of Ingmar Bergman's Scenes from a Marriage.
Oh, all right, all right. That's good. Yeah. Some Tylenol PM, and you're in business with that movie.
I'm pumped for that remake by Noah Baumbach that's coming out like next month.
Really?
It's not really a remake, but it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
It's called Marriage Story or Married Life, something like that.
Well, I like Noah Baumbach.
Sure, he's good. He is. I love Noah Baumbach. Number 1 for Blockbuster. Oh, you said Badlands, right?
Yes, sir.
Number 1 for Blockbuster. That's right. American Graffiti. The most famous coming-of-age movie is set in the early 60s and features a soon-to-be all-star cast. Richard Dreyfuss is particularly brilliant in his star-making role. And then there's that irresistible music, like Rock Around the Clock.
Oh, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
And how about this piece of trivia? George Lucas followed this film up with Star Wars.
Who could have guessed?
Nominated for a screenplay, George Lucas and his co-writer Willard Hrock.
I haven't heard that guy's name in a while.
Our old friend.
Wow.
All right, let's talk about The Exorcist. We open in Iraq.
We do open
in
Iraq?
I'm like, ooh.
So, first, let's get this out of the way. What did you watch? Theatrical?
Theatrical.
All right, here's what I did like a dumbass. But it's okay because it turned out to be a good thing. So, I didn't own this movie, so I figured, well, let's try out the extended director's cut. I made it about.
Okay, we talked about this on air. Henry decided to listen to what I said and completely ignore it.
I re-listened to that, actually, that little conversation we had, and it was you actually were a little more blasé about it than you might be remembering.
He knew that he did something wrong, so he actually went back and listened to the episode to try and read between the lines in a way that he can convince me that what he did was not, in fact, wrong.
Correct. But here's what's interesting about it, and this is why it's stupid. I got about 45 minutes in.
You saw the spider walk?
No, didn't make it that far.
I thought that's like in the first half.
No, not in what I saw, and I watched a lot of. So I'm watching it, and I'm starting to feel like something isn't right with the movie. I'm feeling like things are jump cutting, and there's some bad editing. And I go,
were you watching Leslie Nielsen's Repossessed instead?
That's what I had clicked on. Yeah. But Linda Blair was in it, so that's why I got
That's right.
No, I decided, you know what, man? This ain't going to work because this is not going to be a really good viewing of this for me to do for the show. I'll do this on my own. So I turned it off, and I went back and I watched the theatrical all the way through.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right, and I was right to do so. It's a strange beast that extent. I mean, you own that, but it does not flow. It does not flow well. Yeah, rewatch it. It doesn't flow. Anyway,
I'm good. I just fucking watched this movie.
You watched the theatrical cut.
Yeah, and I'm happy about it. 2 hours, a little long, but...
And one of the things that took me off it right away was the opening shot, is that it's supposed to go right to Iraq, right?
And this one didn't?
Nope.
Maybe that's why I was thrown off. When it started in Iraq, I was like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. That's why I was confused.
What am I watching, fucking Three Kings?
Exactly. The last time I watched it was when we were roommates and I watched your cut. So I was like, it opens with the house for like 10 seconds and then abruptly cuts northern Iraq. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah, so there's a lot of that shit. I'm not going to point it out every time.
Max von Sydow, looking 95 years old in 1973, is in northern Iraq searching for... it's an archaeological dig. It's actually a lot like the opening sequence of Jurassic Park, dude.
And an Indiana Jones movie. I
mean, but in Indiana Jones, it's more of an action sequence. In this movie, it's like, I feel like they're, instead of a little kid going like, what is this raptor claw? Is it really that sharp? Or whatever the fuck that is. In this movie, it's like an Iraqi guy going like, that Max von Sydow, I have a bowl of stuff for you. And von Sydow just like eyeballs it for 1 second. And he's like, hey, that one piece, that's from, a different era. And frankly, I think it comes from hell or something.
Yeah, he puts on a weird accent in this movie. It's very like sort
Chicago.
of Staten Island-y.
Max von Sydow's a big Bears fan in this film.
Listen, the parking over here in Iraq is no good anymore. I can't get Pazuzu over here. He's up my ass. Pass me on the left. I'm Max von Sydow, folks. The Exorcist.
That's how the movie starts. Max von Sydow introduces himself to the audience and says the title of the movie. There's no opening credits in this. That's up to von Sydow. He's just wandering around this gig in Iraq. And then there's and introducing Linda Blair. She's in this. You'll enjoy her.
You see his like big Swedish finger like pointing up at the credits like, this is a Billy Friedkin guy over here. He directed us around this fucking desert.
He directed that Gene Hackman car chase movie, you might recall.
Of course it is not that. It is Max von Sydow, whose voice could command the gods.
And does.
I knew it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that sequence. I thought that was cool. It's nice, and it's not that long.
That's true. I was like when that scene was on, I was like, this is well done, but like, what am I watching here?
Guess what? If you want it to be 5 minutes longer, Put on your copy.
I bet.
Yeah, no,
we're gonna get a whole lot of Max von Sydow in Iraq in fucking the prequels. So anyway,
Yeah.
he's over there, and then we cut to America, Georgetown to be exact, in the great District of Columbia. And Ellen Burstyn is playing an actress. This is listen. I love The Exorcist. It's a great movie. I'm not going to shy away from criticizing it in this eepisode.
I'm not either. Yeah.
This is one of those self-indulgent screenwriter things where the lead, in order for us to extra connect with the main character and relate to her, she has to be a famous film actress.
Correct. This is true.
Yeah.
Although it's an onion. I say. So
it's like people working on movies don't think about the audience at all. Like they're working on this thing, and they're like, the main character, she's a famous film actress. That checks out. I know a lot of famous film actresses. They'll all enjoy this. I felt the same way watching
That's interesting.
Love on Netflix, which I loved that show. But Paul Rust's character, the main character, he's an on-set tutor on like a nighttime soap opera. Okay. And I'm like, how about make him a teacher?
Yeah, really. Yeah, you make a good point. Although it oddly on this particular point, I always kind of thought it was cool in this movie because you don't often see that in movies of this time, of this era, where their occupation is actually acting. So I actually didn't.
Of course you do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I couldn't. I thought it was much more refreshing to have her do that than be, in 1970s fucking housefrau or a fucking secretary. I mean,
I see. You're saying because it's a woman? Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah. I think if it was a guy, it would be feel very different. But the fact that it's like this woman who's on her own and acting, and I thought it was pretty cool. But
yeah, it's a very feminine feature film. You connect to the female characters way more than you do the dudes. That said, we are very quickly introduced to Father Karras, who I think is a really interesting character. And if Burstyn's the heart of the movie, he's the head of the movie because he's losing his faith. He's a priest, but he's also into psychology. I feel like this is a character you see a lot on film now, but it's because of The Exorcist. Oh,
okay, sure. Well, I kind of appreciated what they did there. I mean, I guess it was all blatty, but mixing the theological with the psychological, having a psychiatric person, a psychiatrist who's a priest, that's kind of an unusual touch,
Diatrist.
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
Like die. It's like a scary.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I thought that train left the station, but I guess it's still firmly parked. That's totally fine. I'm back on board now. I'm ready for him.
Thanks.
Yeah, I gotta say, on my previous viewings of this over the many years, this guy really, really is phenomenal. Jason Miller. I mean, he is really good in this movie.
I agree.
Dude.
Who is this fucking guy?
He's a playwright. That's mainly what he did. And he only acted in a few things. And I think Friedkin saw him on a Broadway play or something, and that's how he got him.
Well, I loved him. I was going to save this, but I was going to make him my MVP.
He is my MVP.
Wow, interesting. Jason Miller getting some recognition at last. He died May 13th, 2001. Good for him. He just missed 9/11. And, he had a heart attack, though, at 62. That's not as great. Looks like he was in a fair amount of stuff, but not too much. We'll see him again in Exorcist III, apparently.
Yeah, I recall that. But, watching the movie, like, during the viewing, I was vacillating on the MVP between Linda Blair, Ellen Burstyn, and him. 1, 2, 3, back and forth.
Linda Blair was not in consideration for me.
Oh, she was for me. But
she's the reason being that she's a young child and isn't actually giving a performance.
That is not fair. That is not fair at all, man.
I'll say great directing, William Friedkin.
Oh, you always do that. Hey, when do I ever praise a fucking kid actor? She's good in this. They have some beats and pauses together, her and her mother, before she turns, that I think are very good. I think they're very convincing and very natural. I think she completely holds the screen.
The adult actors help her, though. She's working with Burstyn and Max von Sydow. They're
whatever. What kind of excuse is that? A performance of a performance. I don't care how they got it out of her. I mean, what's the difference?
All right. Yeah, they eked a good performance out of her with a lot of makeup and effects and shit.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Fucking whatever. The situation is Burstyn's her mom. She's an actress. She's in D.C. working in this movie that's about student rights or some shit.
Very weird, because it's like the movie takes place in clearly the Nixon administration, but the protest seems to be like this confused thing where they're like protesting the war, but then there are signs that are like for the war. It's very odd. I have no idea what
I couldn't tell what the tone of this movie was supposed to be. Is this going to be like With Honors, or is this going to be like Animal House? Like, I have no idea.
I didn't either. I had no idea. It's a weird set with an even weirder British director.
Yeah. So they also have a nanny for Linda Blair, and she is played by Kitty something. What's the character's name? Sharon? She's also the second
Sharon.
one.
She's played by Kitty Wynn.
Kitty Wynn.
Great Kitty Wynn. But yeah, there's a weird thing, too, that, I don't like when you read the plot summaries after you've seen the movie, and it points something out that tries to make you feel stupid. So let me know if I should feel stupid or not. Because this is the first time I've ever noticed it in my life, and I don't think it has any bearing on the plot. Did Regan conjure this devil by pulling out that Ouija board?
Oh yeah, I saw that in the plot summary too. Like when she refers to Mr. Howdy or whatever.
Yeah, Captain Howdy. Yeah.
Yeah, according to the plot summary on Wikipedia, they're telling you that it was the first appearance of Pazuzu. I always saw that as just being like a joke she's playing with her mom, and it's supposed to have a creepy tone because we're watching a horror movie.
That's how I feel.
I still feel that way even after reading that plot summary.
Me too. It's very, very silly.
I think, look, it's a ridiculous movie. I think we're supposed to be led to believe that the demon Pazuzu was in this house or something.
Well, or just, appears. I mean, it's one of those movies that gets away with you don't need an explanation because the whole thing's fucking ridiculous.
Well, most of the movie is about trying to go against the explanation that you want it to be. The whole because it's one of those movies where the audience is like, well, clearly she's possessed by a demon, and then every character in the movie is like, let's exhaust every last option before we fucking say that it's a demon.
Right. Absolutely.
So there are some fun, creepy scenes where she's like in a in like an MRI machine or different weird hospital devices. It sort of reminded me of that weird abortion sequence in Prometheus.
Wow, that didn't go into my head at all. You mean when she's trying to get that thing out of her stomach?
I just think hospital equipment from the 70s looks scary.
It does, because it was. But yeah, she
get
has
an
like,
MR die.
Yeah,
I promise they won't all be die.
He promises to, but he does not promise to stop doing that. Yes, she gets a cerebral angiography. Now, here we come to what I figured might blow your mind, because you have reached the point in the plot. Okay, so the actor who is performing that gross thing on her neck where the blood's spurting out with the needle and all that shit, right? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't remember the scene?
Is this in Iraq?
No, it's on the surgical table. He sticks the needle with the tube of blood, and it's coming out into the tube.
Whose neck?
Regan's when they're running tests on her.
I don't remember.
Who's Nick? Fucking who's Nick? Howard the Duck. Who do you fucking think I'm talking about?
Look. All right.
Howard the Hook? All right. Anyway, you don't remember, so that's great. But for our listeners out there, that guy who was doing that was an actual physician. He was a radiologist. He's performing this thing on Linda Blair in like a fake, special effects scene. Okay. Turns out, real life, this guy later on becomes a little bit of a serial killer in real life.
Which one?
I'm trying to find it. And he is featured in season 2 of Mindhunter.
Which
That
guy
actor.
is he?
So do you remember in Mindhunter in season 2, they go to the Rikers and they interview the gay serial killer who talks in detail about how he lures gay men in like leather bars and all that?
Yes.
That's based on this guy, that actor. That
is
fucking
dynamite.
actor became that. He's out of prison now. They don't know where he is. So
They
that's
don't know
good.
where he is. That's good.
Yeah, he's fine. He served his time, but yeah, I'll find his name. It's on the Wikipedia page, but I did deeper digging to find that shit about Mindhunter out. So he was a actual murderer. Yes. Yeah. So that guy is the one operating on Linda Blair. So that's cool.
Yeah. I don't like that he's touching Blair. Has Blair had an okay life? I don't know much about her.
Well, she was dating a bunch of. I read she dated a bunch of rock stars when she was like 15. So I'd say no.
Listen, that's all right.
She dated Rick Springfield.
I'm sure Rick Springfield's gentle.
Oh, sure. She was with Rick James for 2 years.
That worries me.
Yeah,
He's a super freak.
She actually had an abortion of his child. So
That's one that we know of.
Yeah, right. So I don't think Linda Blair had like the greatest life, but I don't know if she like fell down the drug rehab tubes like Tatum O'Neal. Speaking
Or Dana
of,
Plato.
Continue, please. It's a good.
No, that's not till Exorcist II, bro.
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, so in this first Exorcist, here's the scene that scared me when I was a kid. So I saw Exorcist for the first time when I was like 9 years old. And yeah, I was too young for it. I was in our cabin, our summer cabin with my sister and my dad. My mom was elsewhere for some reason. They chose The Exorcist to watch because my sister was like a teenager, and my dad was clueless about how to raise children. And they put on The Exorcist, and I was in the room, and I watched it, and I was okay for a little while. And then the party scene happens, and she comes downstairs at the party, and she urinates on the floor, and I found that I didn't like bodily fluid stuff. That bothered me. Like like her peeing on the floor disturbed me.
Yeah.
And then when the bed is shaking, I felt actual fear. Like, this is the first time in my life that I can remember watching a movie and feeling scared. Like, actual fear. And then the scene where she's lying in the bed and she keeps her body's just convulsing up and down and up and down. I left the room. And I couldn't go on with this movie. I was too scared, and I wussied out, went into my bedroom. But we were in this fucking cabin where it had a ceiling for the whole cabin, but there were no roofs on all the rooms. Like the whole cabin shared a ceiling. So Lord. Like if you did anything, you had to be super quiet. The only room that was like sealed off was the bathroom. And so the whole night was just me like under the covers in my bedroom, trying to make it like trying to stuff blanket in my ears so I couldn't hear this fucking movie.
That is traumatic, dude.
Yeah.
My God.
And I didn't see it again until I went to see it when the version you've never seen came out in theaters.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, for me, you were speaking a few episodes ago about certain movies that inexplicably or explicably were verboten for you to see as a kid, right? So this was the movie in my house. I don't think there was anything else, but this movie had this taboo around it where I just would not, to the point where I never wanted to see it. And because my parents just always would just talk about how disturbing it was. And so I avoided this movie. I don't think I saw this for the first time till I was maybe 19. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of remarkable.
Why do you think parents are disturbed by this? Is it because it's a kid at the center of it?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I think it's because it makes them think about their own kid, and it's just too hard to watch. I mean, because
I'm surprised my mom let me see Baby's Day Out.
That's a good point, but that was a little person.
No, it's a baby.
It says baby? I thought it was Vern Troyer.
No, Baby's Day Out, it's a baby.
That's Vern fucking Troyer as the stunt.
Maybe in the stunt scenes. Jesus.
I think of Baby's Day Out. I know it's one of his movies.
Yeah, but nobody watching that movie, like when the baby shows up on the screen, like turned to their spouse and was like, "Hey, it's Vern Troyer."
I did turn to my spouse at the time, and I said,
you went with your lovely wife to go see Baby's Day Out.
I took my wife and kids. I took my wife and your kids.
To the new John Booze film.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just avoided this movie, and honestly, because of my not ever wanting to see horror movies until I got older, I didn't really care. But this movie is very disturbing, and while I don't have a trauma back to it, it is the movie I will always remember as being like the movie that was not to be seen. Like it is like the taboo of all movies. So, and even last night, 2 nights ago when I watched this, it's still scary, man. It's fucking disturbing and scary.
I'm not spooked by it anymore.
There's a couple of things I still find spooky. But I also find it extremely powerful, and I found especially Jason Miller. Sorry, I've just been desensitized by like devil exorcism movies because
absolutely, there have been like 1,000 ripoffs of this movie. We can cover many of them. That have sequels. The Last Exorcism 1 and 2.
Right. I mean, I guess it's a difference between it being like it's just so well done. I love the way it looks. It all contributes to the feeling of unease during the movie, and I really forgot how excellent, even though it's kind of a 70s choppy editing process where like they'll have these abrupt, awkward cuts, like someone will barely be finished speaking and the next shot will come up. It all works very well, and I just think the story with Father Karras and then Father Marin being brought in, I
think you forget that. Like the thing everyone remembers about The Exorcist, because it's called The Exorcist, is like the last half hour. There's a long exorcism sequence that is riveting. But
it's unbelievable.
But there's stuff before that with just like Father Karras's Greek mother passing away and him having to deal with his disappointed uncle. And like I love all that shit.
I did too, and I mean, I love the sequence between him and the other priest when they go to a bar.
Yeah,
and he's just saying, "I can't do it anymore," and they're like, he's like, "I'll transfer you." He's like, "No, it's not the transfer. I don't think I'm cut out for it." It just got this very sullen tone, and he's just got such a great face, that Jason Miller. He's like a fucking Greek sculpture or something, you know. He's really emotive.
And he's being dragged into this thing, and he's almost regaining his faith by realizing that evil exists.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to go with it. I thought he was really good, and I thought Ellen Burstyn was particularly good too in the scenes where she's worried about young Reagan.
I think that I thought about a reaction shot. Actually, you brought up Prometheus. I'll think about Alien, when she first walks into the door into Regan's room and sees like the first whatever the image is, I think it's the bed shaking, and her reaction, it's just her shot of her reaction, and it's just utterly convincing horror. Reminded me of the shot of all the group of actors on the Nostromo when the fucking chest burster comes out, and how natural that is when they're all just looking and they're just absolutely stunned.
Oh yeah, and then that guy's like, "Hey guys!"
Yeah.
Shoop.
Famous franchise moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get finally they decide they're going to get oh boy. Anyway, the director of the fucking movie dies. That's a big deal, and he falls down that narrow staircase outside, which is a great image. Then the priest finally decide we're going to exorcise the shit out of this bitch, and we're going to bring in Father Merrin. It's very coincidental, I would say, that they chose the one guy who's dealt with Pazuzu in the past, but okay.
He was around at the right place, right time.
They weren't, though. They were like, we need a priest
him.
who can commit an exorcism. Who do we have? And they're like, there's this one adventurous priest in Iraq. Let's get him.
He must be too old. Not if he's running around digging in sites.
Yeah, the cardinal's like, shouldn't we get someone closer to Washington, D.C., perhaps? Nope, we'll fly him in from Iraq.
Hey, listen, the Vatican has loads of money. They're not worried about their finances. Maybe they are now. Very interesting for me to watch the movie as a Catholic. Every time they were saying the prayers, I knew what they were saying, which was weird and fucked up in terms of how ritualistic and bizarre Catholicism is. Did you have any of those observations as a non ever being Catholic person?
Well, I always, religion always sounds stupid to me, and this movie's no exception. But whatever. The prayers are nice. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy kingdom done. On earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us trespasses for those who trespass against us. Whatever.
That was pretty good, dude.
That's just a Jew, baby.
Not bad, man. I can't say the Seder just like that, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, they say it in AA meetings sometimes.
Fair enough. But that last sequence, I mean, I hate to rush through this because we're only 90 minutes in. That last sequence really is worth the price of admission. I mean, I don't really know how long it goes on because I actually didn't
I paid attention. It's around 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's really astonishing, and I mean,
because it goes on all night. Marin and Karis just working on this girl, and her turning into the demon and trying to convince Karis that it's his mom and all that, and then and then we cut later on to Karis just like downstairs, like he's taking a break. Von Sydow's up there alone. When we go back up there, Von Sydow's dead.
I love that. I love that he dies off screen. I think that's great.
Yeah, much better use of that device than No Country for Old Men. Go ahead.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
You are right. Wow, what made you think of that?
Because I hate the way the character dies off screen in that movie.
It's a cheat in an otherwise masterful movie.
It's the ghost blowjob.
Really? You think it's that bad?
Yeah.
Huh? Not to see the Brolster die?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the stuff by the power of just by the dialogue of just even describing how the director dies. What did you think of the cop, Lee J. Cobb?
I love that guy. Frankly, I would have watched this movie from that dude's perspective.
It's funny you said that because I haven't read the book and I probably never will.
Apparently, it's a bigger character in the book than it is in the movie.
Well, I was going to ask you if you knew that was the book told from his perspective, because that would make sense.
I have no idea, but I know that it's a more major character. I've never read the book either. It's one of those things you're always curious about as a kid, but like, what? I'm going to read a fucking Peter Benchley book right now? It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Anyway, I did like that cop. It's just like I would have loved it with like hard-boiled noir narration, like, and then she walked in, this broad, this actress, and
Yeah.
the director had passed away. All right, but there was more to it than we all thought. All right, that's right. I had yet. There was those halcyon days. I had yet to hear the name Pazuzu, but those days would be over soon.
They would be over Zune. Pre-Zool. Yeah, and I like the way it ends too, right? Because that's also different a little bit. We watched the ending where it just kind of shows Father Dyer, his good friend, after Karras takes his tumble down the stairs.
Right.
And he dies like, oh my God. I mean, it's very powerful.
Oh, that's right. He kills himself he convinces Pazuzu to leave Reagan and enter his own body, and then he kills himself.
Yeah,
it's really
incredible.
good.
It's really good, and the effects are really good too. That's what I wanted to say really quick. There's that shot I wanted to ask you about if you thought that was campy or not, because I do not. When they kind of seemingly are making headway with her, and Reagan is on the bed, kind of reaching out, and you see like the statue that looks like Satan.
No, I like that. I like that a lot.
Great.
No,
Yeah,
for me,
great.
like the only campy stuff, I don't love the 180 head turn thing. Neither time it comes up is that my favorite.
I didn't remember it happened twice. That took away a little bit. I was like, oh no, wait, they're doing this again?
Yeah.
Because the first time I find it very powerful.
Yeah, and then the second time you're like, we've already seen this trick.
Come on, Satan. That's all you got? You can't come up
Yeah.
That would be far too a display of vulgar power.
I also like how profane this movie is. There's really great swear words, especially for 1973. I love that the devil uses gay slurs. I love that.
Oh my God! I mean, this is why. Look, if anything in the movie should have gotten this thing rated X, it's poor Linda Blair having to grab a crucifix. And then
that's awesome.
I'm not saying it isn't amazing. It's so fucking awful. I mean,
she masturbates with a crucifix. Just a flat out 13-year-old girl.
Boston's head and pushes it down there. I mean, oh my God. Mm-hmm. I mean, it fucking crazy. I mean, that is. Oh, I'm sorry. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't find that disturbing.
If not for all the screaming and crying, I could have jerked it to that scene. Oh, Henry, I'm joking. She's too young. But you know what a scene it was. I gotta tell you, I don't feel super weird about that scene because I remember watching this movie in high school and loving that scene. My friend Josh. Delicious Cheese, Legal Cum Dance.
Oh, okay.
He was big into this movie, and I feel like we watched it together a couple times, and we were both pretty entranced by the idea of masturbating with a crucifix. I mean, come on. It's a quick shot, and it's an over-the-shoulder shot. It's not that bad.
It's pretty fucking disturbing. I think it's less the.
I think it's only disturbing because she's going at it so hard. She's gonna stab herself.
It's not just the crucifix. It's the Ellen Burstyn part. Like that is what is so fucking horrendous, you know. But I mean, yeah, I'm speechless. I don't know how else to talk about it, but it's effective.
What do you give this movie?
Well, I'm on the fence. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not on the fucking fence. It's 5 stars.
Yeah, I agree. We're both gonna go with Karras as the MVP.
Yeah, he really is. I think everybody in this movie is great. So I have no LVP. If anything, some of the editing is very poor, but I don't know if that's just attributable to the time period.
No LVP.
I'll give it to the editor. I don't know, but it was probably a very hard movie to edit.
Let me ask you a question.
Sharon, you think Sharon?
What
yeah, no,
does Sharon add to the proceedings here?
Okay, all right. No, I disagree. I wouldn't pick her. I like
I
her.
I
think
was
she's good.
blown away. Can I just say something? She comes back in Exorcist II, The Heretic.
Yes,
and
she does.
that movie takes place like 4 years or 5 years after this one.
Yeah.
And they explain that Sharon was so spooked by the events of The Exorcist that she left the employ of this family. But then she felt so weird about being apart from Reagan because she was like, she didn't know if everything was okay. And then she came back. She said she was haunted for 2 years by like the ghost of the events that had happened. And I'm like,
Right.
that's not what I got from your performance in the first movie because you were just sort of there, dude.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
they
that's-
grafted that onto her because
Well,
they
no,
got
they
that
did.
actress to be in the second one. But there's one shot in the fucking Exorcist, I think it's after the bed is shaking, dude, where
Okay.
she Burston goes out and she's like crouching in the hallway outside of of Regan's bedroom.
Okay.
And Sharon crouches down next to her. And if you're looking at Burston's face, which you are because she's very watchable, she has
Yeah.
this pained grimace on her face, like this is the worst thing she's gone through in her life. And but if you look over for a second at Sharon, her look is like, oh God, this family. And I don't think that's what she's supposed to be feeling.
Oh man, that's fucking funny. I don't know. I actually, oddly enough, this was one of those things where I actually never paid much attention to Sharon, and I actually thought she was really good in the first movie. And then we come to the second movie, and it's a completely different.
She's a
story.
very attractive young woman.
No, I think but dope.
Okay, Exorcist. Oh, is there a superhero count?
Yes. Do you have an LVP? It is Sharon then, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I do. I have a very short one. You'll be happy to know.
I am happy to know. All right, here's the booper hero, Count Dracula.
Wow. Loaded. Got Edward Lear over here. Am I right? Max
Edward
von
Fear.
Edward. Fucking Christ. Oh my God! You keep it up. I'm gonna start slipping the BS.
Oh no.
I'm just gonna keep slipping the bass all the rest of the show, man.
Uh,
Slip the bass is only one person in my superhero count for this movie,
hit me.
and that is the great Chicago SCTV actor Max von Sydow, and he is in Conan the Barbarian, playing King Osric, and he plays Judge Fargo in Judge Dredd.
Oh, I do remember that. Boy, I bet that Conan the Barbarian performance is real subtle.
There's no scenery on the table left for anybody else.
All right, Exorcist II, The Heretic. Let's talk about it. I was excited to watch it because I'd never seen it before, and it's always on those lists of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah, I watched this before we had our show. Probably watched about 5 years ago, just for shits and giggles. I'd never seen it, so I remembered some of it. But holy goodness!
I gotta tell you, let's get right into it because I didn't know what to expect, and I do think we're overstating it, calling it one of the worst movies ever made. But I'll also say, boy howdy, what a treasure trove. This was one of those movies, as soon as it was done, I wanted to talk to people about it.
There's a lot going on poorly with this production film, but I will say I agree with you. I was reading all this stuff about, it's the worst this and the worst that, and I got to tell you, man, whatever, like both, you and I, avid moviegoers our whole life, you knew this? I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah, I've seen, because I read lists.
Well, I have too, but I've never... all this fucking shit. This movie isn't good, but holy Christ, it's not. Jesus,
It's just stupid. It's
for
not
me,
incompetent. It's just stupid.
No, it's not incompetent, and it is stupid. But for me, more than any other word, it is boring.
I did not feel that way.
Oh, see, I was just bored.
I was not bored by Exorcist II, the Heretic. I would recommend this film.
You would not.
I would.
I felt pity, which is something I don't always feel for people who are acting in movies because they're actors and they got great lives.
Who'd you feel pity for?
Richard Burton. A little bit.
He's given his all.
He had a lot of... You want a fucking fun Wikipedia page? Read Richard Burton's fucking Wikipedia page, man. That shit is awesome. But anyway, felt bad for him. Felt bad a little bit for Louis Fletcher.
I didn't feel bad for these people. Listen, The Exorcist II, it was a hot product. It was, it's done by a classy director. It's based on an Oscar-winning movie. Listen, the movie didn't pan out.
No, it didn't.
It has its defenders, though.
Does it really?
Do you know that Pauline Kael prefers the sequel? Do you know that Martin Scorsese prefers Exorcist II?
I knew that Scorsese liked it. I didn't know that he preferred it.
So maybe everybody out there in internet land, let's not lend so much credence to Martin Scorsese's opinions on feature films.
Ooh. It was funny.
Do you know about his Marvel thing right now?
No, I do not.
He said that the Marvel movies are not cinema.
Oh.
They're not cinema. But according to him, Exorcist II, the Heretic, cinema.
Martin Scorsese said that?
Yeah.
What? That's odd, I have to say, because, he's quite a loquacious spokesman for the film industry, but I have to say, he is not one of those guys that's ever particularly negative about things.
Yeah, he's not usually a snobby guy, but
not
cinema.
Okay, well,
all right. So this was originally developed to be a cheapy-deepy sequel where we were just going to, get this out there. There was all that unused footage from the first one. And so the studio had the bright idea to, only film, an hour of new footage and then, edit in the deleted scenes from the first one. They were going to make it a $3 million picture, but some people thought better of that. Ultimately, William Goodhart gets hired to write the movie, and he delivers a script that was apparently a very good script, and it's the one that got all the actors to sign on for the movie. The Louise Fletcher part was written for a man, but they changed it and hired Louise Fletcher, coming off of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, of course. Nurse Ratched. Are you pumped for the Nurse Ratched Netflix show?
Didn't know about it.
Yeah, Nurse Ratched, Netflix.
Really?
Ryan Murphy, Sarah Paulson as Nurse Ratched.
Oh, that's an American Horror Story thing?
No, it's Nurse Ratched, literally. The show's going to be called Ratched, and it's a prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Interesting.
Is it?
I'll wait to see what that's like. I'm trying to be nice here.
Yeah, get ready for people recommending that thing to you for the next few years. It's like all these people out there hey, did you watch Bates Motel? Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, but did you get up to season 3, episode 4? Because then it's really good.
No, Ratched. I'm happy with what happened in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, so I don't feel like...
You're okay with that as the ending of the Nurse Ratched story?
I am. Now, a series based on the fun times of McMurphy? I'm all in. I'd watch the shit out of that. That would be fun.
That'd be good. All right, so John Voight was originally cast but replaced by Richard Burton. John Borman took over as director. Now, he was a fella who was a pretty major director only a few brief years before Exorcist II. So you might be saying, well, why did he make Exorcist II? And the answer is he followed up Deliverance with Zardoz, which was one of the biggest disasters in film history. And so then he had to make Exorcist II.
I did not know that. I've seen a few of his movies, much less than I thought.
I actually love Zardoz, even though it's a disaster. But yeah, Deliverance is great. Point Blank is a masterpiece. People like Excalibur. He worked a lot. He made a lot of classy movies. The Tailor of Panama, The General, good movies.
I liked the General is excellent, and Deliverance is excellent. I've only seen, other than that, Tailor of Panama.
You never saw Point Blank?
No, that's what's his name from what's his name? James. The bearded. Come on, the fucking guy from Affliction.
Oh yeah. Cromwell.
No, fucking.
What the fuck is that guy's name?
Oh god, it's gonna drive me crazy.
Cagney.
James fucking Cagney. Sure, yeah. Oh no, it's Lee Marvin.
Yeah, that's why I was confused you were bringing that up.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course I do.
And we both can't forget his name.
Coburn, I got it.
Coburn.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right.
All right.
McGowan!
That was fun. So John Borman took the script by William Goodhart, and even though William Goodhart's the only credited writer, he basically ignored it and wrote the script on set with his friend Rospo Pallenberg. That's right. I will repeat that. There's a person in the world named Rospo Pallenberg. And so it finally comes out June 17th, 1977. Big summer release, big budget of $14 million. It only made $30.7 million, which is, a hit for 1977, but it was an expensive movie. Came in at number 23 at the box office for that year, right behind Slapshot and Freaky Friday.
Okay.
All right. It was not well received. It's not nominated for anything. And, in fact, William Friedkin once called this movie the worst piece of shit I've ever seen, a fucking disgrace, and, quote, that film was made by a demented mind.
Yeah, sure.
Taking quite a shot at John Borman.
That's,
Not only are you a bad filmmaker, you are not a competent human being.
Yeah. He also said in another time that it was made by a dumb guy. So... Yeah, dumb guy. I wouldn't call John Borman a dumb guy. And I do think it is amazingly bizarre irony that William Friedkin is saying that John Borman is the one with the sick mind. William Friedkin saying he's the one with
the sick mind. A demented mind.
Yes, sure. William Friedkin calling someone else demented.
All right.
That's like Cameron calling somebody else an egomaniac.
Great. I'm excited to talk about this movie, but we did do a 1977 list, so let's do that really quick. My honorable mentions are The Serpent's Egg and Smokey and the Bandit. Blockbuster only found the need to list 9 films for this year, so...
Yeah, I almost...
Not a good year, 1977.
It wasn't. It's one of my weakest lists.
Really? It's a good year.
Well, not for my viewing play.
Right.
I want to ask you, is Roots count? Does Roots count?
No, that's a television miniseries.
Was it ever released in theaters?
I don't care.
Okay.
You can include it if you want.
No. It's all right. I had backup.
Okay. Number 10 for me is John Cassavetes' Opening Night.
My number 10 is one of the great schlocky movies of all time that my dad bought for me when I was a kid, and I loved it, and I haven't seen it in about 30 years. Kingdom of the Spiders.
I don't know that movie.
William fucking Shatner, man.
Horror movie?
Kingdom of the Spiders.
No, I said horror movie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tarantulas invade a town.
Sounds good. It's like eight-legged freaks.
Yeah, but with William Shatner.
Yeah, that is pretty good. My number 9 is Sorcerer.
Oh, all right. Mine. Oh, we're not doing Blockbuster?
I said they only have 9 options here. They do not have a 10th film.
Correct, sorry. Okay. So my number 9, or they're gonna do their number 9. What are we
You
doing?
do your 9.
Go fuck yourself. All right. My number 9 is the animated Italian film with lovely classical music, Allegro non troppo.
All right. Blockbuster's number 9 is The Turning Point. This ballet movie features 2 of the best acting tour de forces. I'm not sure you
Okay.
can pluralize that word. By women to date. By women to date.
Oh no! If you have a pen, you should definitely highlight that.
That is great. Their explosive confrontation is what memorably entertaining cinema is all about. All right?
Especially for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For women. Received 11 Oscar nominations. That seems excessive. My number 8 is Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
All right. My number 8 is I begrudgingly put this on here because I didn't have that many things to choose from. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Okay. Blockbuster's number 8 is a film called Star Wars. And they say, the Force is definitely with this sci-fi extravaganza.
Yeah.
The most recently released movie on the National Film Registry's list.
The National Film Registry?
Yeah, in 1989. Of 25 landmark films. All right?
All right.
Exemplary production values. Mark this celebration of sight and sound. All right? Great stuff.
I wish we could get these guys to write our promos for our show.
Same. My number 7 is my favorite Disney movie, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
All right. My number 7 is my favorite Roger Moore James Bond movie, and that is The Spy Who Loved Me.
Henry, that's Blockbuster's number 7. The Spy Who Loved Me. They say, nobody can possibly do it better than 007.
Nice.
This exciting James Bond thriller is noted for its dazzling visual effects, literally larger-than-life villain named Jaws, formidable female lead who almost shares the movie with Roger Moore, God forbid, and top-rate soundtrack featuring a memorable Carly Simon vocal.
That's mostly all true.
This is the best of the Bond films which starred Roger Moore, they say.
It's true.
Okay.
Yep.
My number 6 is Eraserhead.
Oh, okay. All right. Number 6. You did like this year. All right. My number 6 is Saturday Night Fever.
And Blockbuster's number 6 is 1900, a political novel on the screen. That's what it says.
That's what it...
Yeah. The activity is superb.
The activity?
Yeah.
Which activity?
I don't know. The episodes throughout are the pure genius that is Bertolucci, and the film ranks with the best epics of all time. Not sure about that. Okay. My number 5 is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, heavy hitter.
Heavy hitters. All right. I'm glad to see that at least lower than 1. Number 5, the great Ridley Scott's great first movie ever, The Duelists.
Number 5 for Blockbuster is New York, New York. Every major director has a film that over the years the critics and public acquire a growing fondness for. This big band era musical melodrama is Scorsese's, and it's a nostalgic and carefully realized charmer. All right?
Yeah, well, you've seen it. I never did. Yep.
Yeah, it's all right. My number 4 is Robert Altman's Three Women.
All right. My number 4 is Sorcerer.
Blockbuster's number 4 is Julia, with Jane Fonda, the story of writer Lillian Hellman and the friend she assists in European political resistance in the 1930s.
Snore.
Yep, sounds really boring. All right, my number 3 is Suspiria, the original Suspiria, the good one.
A movie that I recently, about 2 or 3 months ago, tried to watch.
And hated.
turned it off.
Yeah, Henry, you can't handle all that dubbing, man.
I don't do dubbing well.
Yeah.
I was expecting subtitles, and I expected wrong. I was not prepared for that. Okay.
My number 2, right? Or no, your number 3.
No.
Go ahead.
My number 3 is Eraserhead.
And their number 3 is The Goodbye Girl, this quintessential Neil Simon comedy. You'll laugh and cry at the romantic and witty story.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
My number 2 is Star Wars.
That's my number 2.
Okay. Oh, then I know where we're going. Their number 2 is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Steven Spielberg combines poignant performances with dazzling, amorphous special effects. All right, this film solidified Spielberg's career. I believe Jaws did that, but okay.
I think so, yes.
Aliens and spaceships have never looked the same since. All right, so my number 1, and I assume your number 1, and Blockbuster's number 1 is Annie Hall.
Actually, it's Exorcist II, the Heretic.
Oh, God. Okay, what a surprise.
Yeah, it was a little surprise, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And that is a funny, intelligent gem of a movie, which is a unique and touching treat.
What, Exorcist II?
No.
Oh.
Exciting stuff. Annie Hall.
Annie Hall, number 1 movie of the year.
All right, let's talk about it. The Exorcist II, The Heretic. We meet Linda Blair. Regan, she is older now. She's 18. And,
Go, please don't. Please. The MPAA is going to...
Oh, Henry.
She is 18.
She's going... I couldn't make heads or tails of what the fuck is going on in her life, though. She appears to be living in a giant penthouse apartment in Manhattan, alone with her childhood nanny, Sharon.
I could only ascertain that mom's out on a shoot.
Well, they said that. They said she's shooting somewhere.
And so Regan has this whole joint to herself. That's pretty cool.
Why is the nanny there?
I don't know. Well, she's cashing in. They offered her position to live in a penthouse apartment. Why not?
I guess I would, too. And Regan is just hanging out. She's like a sculptress now, but also she's like a high school student, and she's in the school play. So there's a musical number at one point in this movie.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. And she goes to what might possibly be the worst location for a therapy session in the world.
Hang on. I got to talk about this therapy office. All right. First of all, it is laid out like a honeycomb. Okay.
Yes.
So it's in the shape of a honeycomb. And there's little glass offices within the honeycomb that are also in the shapes of their own unique honeycombs.
Yes. Very little, there's zero privacy.
That's not true. Because what's-her-face, Louise Fletcher, has some sort of weird light contraption that changes the light into the glass room, which shuts off the light from the outside. You can't see anything going on outside.
I didn't even remember
that. It like becomes a limo window.
I didn't remember that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This was a hard movie
We
to
see her
focus
do
on.
that when they're using their magical telepathy device. All right.
Their mutual telepathy, psychological joining of the minds.
Right.
Yes.
So
that was a thing.
We catch up with Regan early in the movie, and then we see her go into the honeycomb for her therapy appointment. Not a bra in sight in this office, and especially not on Regan. She doesn't wear a bra this entire movie.
No, Borman is pretty loosey goosey with the depiction of Linda Blair.
Yeah.
In this movie, I mean, she is very beautiful.
I guess she kind of grew up. She looks like Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean, but yeah, no, she's quite stunning, I think. But
stunning? That might be a little much.
I don't think so, but but Borman certainly is one of those fucking guys who's like, There's no need for a sports bra, Linda. Just go ahead and wear that negligee.
I feel like he would do it on the sly. Like he before she got to set, he would go into the makeup wardrobe and just the wardrobe and just take all the bras. Yeah.
No one will notice if I snatch this out. Nobody will notice us missing.
I don't know who Reagan is supposed to be, and part of that is her wardrobe. Because when we see her early on, she's dressed like a fucking high school student wearing like a t-shirt and no bra. But then like we see her a few more times. At one point, she's wearing like a fucking Renaissance fair dress with like a corset. And sometimes she's wearing like a flowy gown. Like yes. You never know what to expect scene for scene.
I don't know. You're right. At one point she
has different like demons inside her dressing her.
Absolutely. She's got the demon of Isaac Mizrahi.
The great pronunciation. The Fab Five.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you're right. And then most of the rest of the movie, she is dressed like she needs to cross over a moat to get into a giant castle to save the prince.
She does look like that. Like John Borman, he's already fucking prepping for Excalibur.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's Braveheart shit, man. It's really, really weird. Even when she's hanging out in her beautiful apartment and she almost falls off the roof.
Yeah.
She's wearing like this flowy gown. It's very odd.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that Linda Blair didn't grow up to be a particularly good actor. And so you're sort of just watching these scenes left to your own devices. Like, I wonder what she's thinking. She doesn't give you anything.
You really don't like her, huh? You think she's a pretty poor actress.
Yeah.
You often... Okay, yeah. I just didn't feel that way. She's vacant. I'll say that.
Yeah, she sure is. You can say that again, man. God, that voice of the demon, there should be an echo in there.
She's pretty vacant, but, I don't know. This movie's just misfiring every cylinder, so she was not the focal point for me here. I mean, I just kept staring at Richard Burton, wondering when he was waiting to get his night sweats for his pint.
My God, yeah. He was coming off his second divorce from Elizabeth Taylor and his horrific alcoholism. Richard Burton is an incredible actor. If you go back and watch any of his Shakespeare adaptations, I mean, he's fucking amazing in all of them. And apparently he got offered to do King Lear on stage and chose to do The Exorcist II instead. Which I love as a choice.
Absolutely. To pay a lot of alimony's going out there. How much do you think an alimony Liz Taylor costs? That's a lot.
Do you think she charged him double?
Absolutely. Double vodka. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so she goes to visit her therapist, Louise Fletcher, and Louise, the whole movie, look, nothing is meant to happen in this movie. Like, she's safe. There's no demon in her. Like, she's a fine, normal high school girl. But, like, she's seeing this therapist, Louise Fletcher. And Louise Fletcher is like, you know how you're great and happy and everything's going okay? What we should do is, I got this sci-fi telepathy device from somewhere I'm not going to explain. And I'm sorry, if you have future technology in your movie, you have to tell me why. So she sets her up to this device, and she's like, let's look into your past, specifically the time when you were possessed by a demon. And since you are not traumatized by that, I think we should maybe traumatize you some.
That is a very good assessment of the plot summary and clearly the psychiatrist's thinking behind this, because she does go into this kind of like, I have dreams. I mean, occasionally. And Louise Fletcher's like, yeah, I'm not thinking that's good enough. We're going to go ahead and relive all of that.
Right. And so this is not like a passing, it's not like an instigating incident
Right.
Like, we see this fucking telepathy machine 100 times with so many people using it, just switching in and out. At one point, Louise Fletcher's in the office hooked up to fucking Regan's brain, looking inside Regan's brain, and the fucking priest, Richard Burton's like, excuse me, can I see? And Louise Fletcher's like, sure, get in that brain.
That was one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie when he says that, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, sure,
absolutely,
sure,
please enter her brain, check it out."
They passes it like a set of headphones, and they're in it together.
Maybe we should ask Regan for her permission. Just kidding.
Oh, there's so many doctors' ethics laws being violated in this movie. Oh my goodness.
It's awful. So
she does autistic child speak, though. That was pretty.
Well, once they go into her brain, she starts exhibiting some weird sci-fi powers, and one of those is making Dana Plato talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, do you know Dana Plato?
Well, don't tell me. I'm clicking on her right now because I didn't know who you meant, but I think. Yes. Okay. Didn't know that was her.
Yeah.
Got it.
Dana Plato from Different Strokes, of course.
Oh, boy.
She plays an autistic girl in this movie. Of course, this was filmed before her awful drug addiction, breast implants, further drug addiction, and suicide at age 34, and of course also before her son committed suicide on the 10 or 11 year anniversary of her death. Not a fun household, the Platos. But so Regan walks in and doesn't realize that the girl is autistic, and the girl helpfully tells her, "I'm autistic." To which Regan responds, "How do you mean?" Which I thought was an interesting question. I'm not sure what information she's trying to get at there.
It means I'm on the it's too hard, Regan. It's I don't understand. The question itself is loaded, Regan. I can't answer that right now.
She also at one point draws a picture of Richard Burton surrounded by fire and gives it to him, which is weird because she's an 18-year-old girl drawing pictures of her priest for him.
Yes.
And he looks at it and instead of saying like, "Oh, lovely picture, I'll put it on my refrigerator, I'm not sure why you're giving me this," he says, she drew fire around me, I must be getting set on fire soon. So he's very much on the lookout for a fire. He and Louise Fletcher go into the basement of the honeycomb, and they immediately see a fire. They race off to stop the fire. Did you happen to notice that they race right past a fire extinguisher, which is hanging on the wall behind them?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Instead, Richard Burton, what does he do? He grabs a crutch. He has like one
Very
crutch,
odd.
and he's just
like,
whacking the fire with it.
Yeah, he's making it worse. Obviously, in seminary school, they didn't teach him the basics of fire prevention. Or fire science, as I believe they call it now. And he just making this shit worse. And also, she says, "I'll call the fire department."
Right. She's off calling the fire department.
So what are we
and
doing?
He's
Let it
hitting
burn.
the fire with a crutch. And what no one's doing is grabbing the extinguisher. She eventually does, thankfully. Louise Fletcher, I think, the only sane character in this movie.
I wouldn't even go that far.
I wouldn't go that far either. She did use a telepathic device to go into her patient's head.
Yes. Now, when you say he was using a crutch, do you mean he was using Linda Blair?
What does that mean?
Oh, that was a good joke.
Why do you call her a crutch?
Like a crutch to lean on, like an acting crutch. You know?
Oh, I get it. Okay, sure. No, an actual literal crutch. It's around this time that we check in with a flashback of Max von Sydow, who's in this movie for some reason. we cut to Africa, which looks exactly like Tatooine in this movie. They're just all hanging out in igloo sand huts.
Oh yeah, it's leftover Star Wars business is what's happening here. Yeah, this stuff in the movie that once we leave America for any period of time.
Well, we're not really leaving America. What we're seeing is Regan's head. That's what's in her head. She has Pazuzu's memories.
For some of it, yeah. But we go to a locust factory.
That's right. There's a lot of locusts in this movie.
There's a lot. If you're interested in entomology and you had always wondered what it was like to fly around Africa from the back head of a locust, this is the movie for you.
I actually loved that scene. There's so much locust. There's one scene where there's just like a tank. A tank of locusts.
A locust lab.
Right, and we just stay on those locusts with the camera for like 5 minutes.
Really gross.
I was getting super grossed out.
It's really fucking gross. James Earl Jones is in this movie.
Okay, right. Max von Sydow. The Pazuzu had originally possessed a young African boy named Kokomo. With John Stamos on tribal drums. And there's one scene where we're sort of watching a locust that's like possessed by Pazuzu trying to like make its way towards young Kokomo. And it's this crazy travelogue of Africa. It feels like you're watching like a fucking Terrence Malick movie for a second. But then there's all this like the score is by Ennio Morricone. And all he did, for that sequence anyway, was just have some woman in the studio primal screaming. So it's like this like one long shot of a CGI fucking locust, like, going over the African landscape. And then in the background, you just hear like a woman going like, ah! Ah! Ah!
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. That's a good impression of it, and I also got the whole Max von Sydow stuff got confusing because it was also like if they reference that he performed an exorcism, but then they show another one in the beginning where he's like in what appears to be more of a it's in Iraq, I would assume. Because he's trying to save this girl. Do you remember that? Like, there's all these nonsensical.
Oh right, there's that Spanish girl.
Yeah,
the only Spanish word that the screenwriters knew was "porque." It's just like a scared Spanish girl going "porque, porque, porque." And then later on, when Linda Blair gets possessed again, she's like "porque,"
and he goes, "No, I'm Jewish."
Who's Jewish?
Did you get that joke?
No.
Oh, porque? No, I'm Jewish.
Oh, because Jews don't eat pork?
Right.
Good one.
Thank you. And she is the only Spanish girl in Iraq, is what I thought you were going to say. It's very odd.
I don't know where anything in this movie's taking place, though. Like, because I know there's Iraq stuff, but there's also Africa stuff. And then there's all this weird, like Spanish stuff, so I thought maybe we were in like Brazil or something, but I don't know.
I did too. I don't know. It's very convoluted, and then especially in towards the end of the movie, the fucking Burton like gets possessed and starts being a zombified Burton.
Well, the last half hour is like a chase movie for no reason, where like Richard Burton and Linda Blair get on a plane together, and then Louise Fletcher and Sharon, who's in this movie still for no reason.
Yeah, a lot. It's very bad in this movie, by the way.
Yeah, and a weird character. I just never know what she's doing in this movie. And then there's that weird scene where she's taking care of Louise Fletcher's kids.
Is she?
I think at one point she's babysitting Louise Fletcher's kids. And then Louise Fletcher comes to the, like, panicked shows up at the door to like say we have to go chase after Richard Burton, and she answers the door just in like a wet robe. Like her fucking nipples poking out.
I have no idea. Yeah, you're right. I don't know, man. This is a poorly crafted film.
Yeah, you could say that.
I mean, it really is. Like, it's just the timelines and the story and the direction's a mess.
And there's no plot. Like,
nothing.
Because the inciting incident is just like, let's pry into this fucking girl's mind for no reason.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this movie, everyone's fine.
Yeah, it's almost like an altered state situation here. It's kind of like, Bob Balaban should be looking in the background, like freaking out to William Hurt the whole time. But you're right. And I guess, the only thing in this movie, and the reason I'm not giving it 1, is because, it has certain sequences that work, I think, even how dumb they are.
This is a movie that works because it's dumb, Henry. It's one of those. I'm going to give it a 2. And I was not being facetious earlier. I recommend Exorcist II, The Heretic. This is a fun, bad movie.
Yeah. I can't recommend it because
the only boring parts were when we cut away to the Vatican or something. Get rid of that shit.
Well, right, but I can't recommend it because I don't think it's a fun, bad movie. I think it's a fun, boring.
It's fun. The weird honeycomb lair of the therapist and the telepathy machine and Richard Burton giving this weird performance and Linda Blair's weird vacancy and there's good horror movie boobs in it and the Ennio Morricone score is really fucking weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And I was paying attention to that. And like you said, besides that woman screaming, he does have that kind of recurring theme, which sort of for someone like him seems like an afterthought of string writing. But it's still good because it's him. We never talked about the score to the original Exorcist, by the way.
Well, there is no score.
No, there's some piano...
Tubular bells?
No, in the beginning and stuff, there's that piano riff that's played several times over and over again. You don't recall
That's
that?
Tubular bells, right?
I don't. What does that mean? I don't.
That's
know.
a song. That's a song from the 70s that he repurposed for this movie. It's by Mike Oldfield or something.
Got it. Sorry. Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was that. He used that, and that works beautifully. Apparently, the songwriter did not care for its use, but whatever. Yeah, but apparently Lalo Schifrin was originally hired to write the score for The Exorcist, and Friedkin didn't like the work he did, and he fired him and just replaced it with classical music. And there are rumors, apparently, that Lalo Schifrin used his original Exorcist score for The Omen.
Oh, wow. Well, good for you, Lalo.
He denies it, though. He said, no. Original music, I wrote a whole new score, of course.
Of course he denied it. It's a lot of work to write a score.
Yeah.
Fucking Friedkin. Oh, well.
Love it. So anyway, that's the movie pretty much. They go back to DC and the house collapses. Poor fucking Sharon dies for no reason.
Just stands in a fire that she lights of her own demonic volition.
Because by the end of the movie, you have no idea who's possessed by a demon. They all are, pretty much. And then the house fucking collapses in on itself like it's fucking Ghostbusters 2.
And then Richard Burton gets seduced by a scantily clad Linda Blair in the bed.
You better believe it, baby.
What's happening?
They're making out.
Oh, my God. And then there's this awful scene.
I wasn't half mastering that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And she's on the ledge watching him fight another version of her.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Linda Blair had it in her contract that she didn't want to be in the makeup. And so in this movie, there's a bunch of shots of her as a kid in the makeup, but it's just a lookalike actor. It's very weird. And it leads to a lot of weird scenes like that with Linda Blair watching Linda Blair torture people. And
then I love the demon's death in this. It's so uneventful. He just he's on top of her, kind of like trying to choke her, and then the house falls apart. Linda Blair's on the staircase, and Linda Blair's doppelganger just rolls by her down the stairs. That's it. You never see her again. It's like,
Done.
oh, I guess the devil just broke her neck or something.
Down the stairs to hell.
Christ.
So yeah, that's a 2 from me. Who's your MVP?
Oh, jeez. Well, I'll just go. I forgot I wrote something. I actually did write it down. And now I feel bad after this discussion. I'm going to go with my MVP being Linda Blair.
Okay, I am not. My MVP is Louise Fletcher. I think she is the only actor in this movie delivering work that is not embarrassing. I think it is a totally good lead performance in a very bad movie.
And that's kind of how besides the vacancy, feel about Linda Blair. So what the hell is she supposed to do, this poor kid?
A lot more. No, I mean, it'd be better with almost anybody in the role.
LVP, I gotta go with Dickie Burtz. I can't. It's too painful to watch him in this, man. What are you doing, Richard?
Yeah, he's bad. I'll give that.
He looks like he's in physical pain during this movie. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, doesn't he look like he's just...
Yeah, he does.
Oof,
I'll say
sad.
the other non-embarrassing performance is actually James Earl Jones. We only touched on him. He's
not
Kokomo grown up, but he's doing his thing. You know,
he's fine. It's
he's got that voice.
Yeah, they should have gotten for that role. Coco Beware. That
the wrestler.
Yeah.
Now, could he bring his parrot into the scene? I think he could because he's got locusts out there.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
they could befriend each other.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
All right.
Can Junkyard Dog be there too?
Now you're talking my era. Oh yeah, baby.
All right, man. This was a very fun week for me in terms of the viewing. A great movie, a masterpiece, and a great movie, a masterpiece. So next week we'll be talking Exorcist 3. We're doing 3 movies, actually. Weird. Exorcist 3 by William Peter Blatty, Exorcist the Beginning by Rennie Harlan, and Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist by
Paul Schrader.
Yeah, Paul Schrader. I wanted to say James Spader.